I'm Shreya, and these are my books.
These are also my books.
These are also my books. And so are those. I have had these bookshelves since 2016, and obviously my collection has grown considerably since then. So much so they're now stacked on the floor, stacked on the walls. I think this is the year I get new bookshelves. I think first we should count how many books I have, because truthfully I've got no idea. They're just lying everywhere. Have not counted. This will take a while. I have 321 books. Honestly, I was expecting more. I'm a bit impressed with my self-restraint. Let me tell you my vision. I want like a thick shelf here, and then a skinny shelf, and then another big shelf. And my inspiration for this is a girl I follow on TikTok, Reading Slumped. Look at her shelves. Are these not to die for? That's exactly what I want, like big, small, big. And then the little small shelf I'm gonna put my favorite series. I also have a bunch of random book themed candles, so I think that would be really fun to put in that center place. But yeah, that's the inspo. But the first order of business is to get every book off my shelf. That's all done, and all of the books that were once on the shelves are right there on the floor. And look at the state of my bookshelf. It is so empty. It's kind of jarring for me, and why do I feel kind of sad about it? There's no life there, there's no color there. My dad and I went to IKEA this morning, and we picked up the bookshelves, which weigh a ton. I did not expect them to weigh that much. And behind me, all my books are on the floor ready for their new home, so I guess we need to start assembling this. I have never assembled IKEA furniture in my life, so I'm expecting this to take quite a few hours. And while I do that, I'm gonna listen to my audiobook. I have been reading it on my Kindle, but I feel like this is a good opportunity. It's The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. Let's get going. I'm also well aware of the fact that I'm starting to get a little sick, so the sooner we get this done, the better. I've just built the second one. I'm taking a break. Okay, the shelves have sort of been built. The first one's there, then that second one, and then the third. So it's all done. I've just got to add the shelves at the end, move them all into place on this wall. When all of these are together, it's going to be 2 meters long. And let me show you what 2 meters looks like here. This is the wall in question, right? 2 meters is like this long. That's all going to be books. All done, but as you can see, we've got a little problem here. I can promise you it was not my fault. I built it correctly, but the floor's kind of wonky, so I think we're just going to lift up that side of it so that it sits kind of evenly, and then hopefully it'll just, you know, be like that. And here we are. So I put the shelves up last night and everything's level now thanks to my dad, who helped, you know, wedge things under some of the shelves. Now we have a monumental but fun task ahead of us. I have got to organize all of that and get it on the shelf, which you are currently sitting on. So all of those are going to fit into 6 levels of shelving. We're not going to fill up the whole thing. I anticipate that the bottom 2 rows are going to be empty, thank God, because I plan on keeping these shelves for a while. I assume the top 2 rows are going to be fantasy, and then there's going to be a romance shelf, and then a mixture of classics, a mystery, childhood stories, etc. So I'm going to start by organizing my books in terms of genre and keeping series together, because if you do follow me on TikTok, you know that my old shelves were rainbow, and as beautiful as it was, it's just not practical. So this time around we are organizing by genre. While I'm doing all of that, by the way, I want to grab a couple of series I want to put in this display area, just like bigger series or series that I really adore. There are so many books on the floor. Oh my god. We're gonna start with the top shelf, which is gonna be fantasy. I've got the Throne of Glass series here. I think I'm gonna pop that up there, which means I want Going Out That Way or Going Out That Way to be the rest of Sarah J Maas's books. I've decided this second shelf I'm gonna put the Mortal Instruments up in. quite literally dripping sweat, but that's 3 fantasy shelves done. Now all we have left is romance and then more of a miscellaneous shelf. I assume we're going to be taking up 2 more shelves. Having finished romance, I am now moving on to mystery. So I've started with The Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I think it flows nicely because there is romance in it. I haven't been this proud of myself since I graduated high school. I'm so impressed. Firstly, impressed that I actually got it done. Secondly, impressed that I actually own this many books, and this isn't all of it. Okay, I have a bunch of stuff here and here to donate or put into storage because they're not books I particularly like or want on my shelf. Some of these are duplicates as well, so I will be getting rid of those. Let's go on a little shelf tour. Like I said, the first row is fantasy, mainly adult fantasy with 2 exceptions, Throne of Glass and the Six of Crows duology. I'll move you in. The Serpent and the Wings of Night. We have a couple of really good ones on the shelf, like the Bridge Kingdom series, and then the Samantha Shannon books, Six of Crows, Fourth Wing, and then we have Akata, followed by this ugly neon orange cover. I hate it so much. And in the position of honor, we have Throne of Glass, because when I was 14 years old, it was one of the books that got me back into reading. Crescent City, the Gentleman Bastard series, which is really good. People don't talk about it enough, but it's great. Red Rising, Captive Prince, another excellent one. And then we have a couple of books here. I didn't really love When the Moon Hatched, but I'm keeping it because I want to give it another shot and see if I was just in a bad mood when I read it. And then this one I did read, but I also want to reread it. I just feel like I didn't take any information in. This happens a lot, so I'm going to keep that there. The second row is once again fantasy, but this one's a lot more color-coded, like the reds and the whites. We have the Shepherd King duology and then a couple of R.F. Kuang's books. I do want to get around to reading the Dance of Thieves duology. I haven't yet, but I've heard it's amazing. The Shades of Magic series by V.E. Schwab, which is probably her best work and doesn't get enough attention. Powerless, and then we have a lot of Cassandra Clare. The middle shelf goes to the Mortal Instruments because when I was, I think, 11, it reignited my love for reading as well. I was obsessed with it. Then The Cruel Prince, and then Kerry Maniscalco's fantasy books. And then we have a bunch of different trade paperbacks just up here. I felt like because they were all the same size, it was a good place to put them. They were all adult fantasies. Moving a little lower, this is the young adult fantasy shelf, with the obvious exception of The Song of Ice and Fire. I just didn't really know where to put that because all the spines are so colourful. I was like, let me just lump that in with the YA. The Only Monster books, which are absolutely amazing. I did speak about them in the last video and I'm very excited for the finale. Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber, then The Hunger Games and The Ballad. The Prison Healer series, which I only read this year and they were fantastic. Assistant to the Villain and A Song of Ice and Fire. The middle is for Harry Potter, of course. And then next to Harry Potter is Percy Jackson. And then we have a bunch of other young adult fantasies, as well as Kerry Maniscalco's Stalking Jack the Ripper series. I know it's not fantasy, but I didn't know where else to put it. And then over here are a bunch of hardcovers. These ones are duplicates of books I own, but I'm willing to give up. The Italian edition of Crooked Kingdom, and then we have the original Tower of Dawn cover, special Akata, and then this copy of Akamath, which I commissioned, and I've actually annotated this one. Like, I went through the whole thing and made it pretty. Moving on to romance, we have these, and then we have Mariana Zapata, Nothing Like the Movies, Bridgerton, Finding 13, and a couple of sports romances, including my favorite, the Windy City series. And then we have a couple of Elsie Silvers in the middle shelf. I think she is the best Western romance writer for sure, as well as a cute little cowboy boot. And then the other 2 Elsie Silver books over here. Ashley Poston, all of the Emily Henrys because I'm obsessed with her. Abby Jimenez, Christina Lauren, Ali Hazelwood, some Lauren Asher books, and then Taylor Jenkins Reid. The final shelf that I organised kind of continues on with romance with a bit of Anna Huang, a few romance series that I read when I was younger, and then we transition with A Good Girl's Guide to Murder and other Holly Jackson books, a couple of thrillers as well, and other mysteries. These books are mysteries that are set in India. I love them very much. And then in the middle shelf we have Dan Brown, Agatha Christie, and Arthur Conan Doyle. On this other side are Enid Blyton books that I grew up reading and loving. And then we have the Spice Girl series, which if you have younger siblings, you need to put them on. This is so funny. It's about a young boy in a CIA academy and it's hilarious. And then a random chunk of self-help book, mythology, and then finally classics. And those are my shelves. I'm so lucky that I get to look at my bookshelf and see every single world I've ever loved on that shelf. I'm beyond proud of how they turned out. See you next time.